I had dreams of being with hundreds of people and thousands of people that I didn't even. It seemed like I knew them, but I didn't know them. They were familiar faces, and we were all together in harmony and beautiful peace and stuff. And we were kind of, sometimes we'd be flying around just off of the earth. We'd be kind of flying around. And I had those when I was a child. I had them as a kid, and did have some in the service in about 58 or 59, something like 59, I guess. April 18th, 1939. It seems like a long time ago, 1939, when you say it like that. I lived with my dad and my grandfather and grandmother and my mother, and they all lived in different places in the valley, in the 3-mile area, Stevensville, Montana. When I was little, it seemed like a long ways away to town, which was only about 6 or 7 miles to town, maybe 15 miles or something like that from where I lived there. I lived up on Lone Rock. My parents were all fruit tramps, and they went from one orchard to another orchard. Not all of them were, just my dad and my mom were. And they just traveled around, went in these old cars, and they'd stop and they'd play music. They had a little band. The valley was always in my brain because it was like the time you're born until, like your first vision was St. Mary's up there, that mountain. It's a sacred mountain to me, That's like St. Mary's was a sacred mountain to the native people also. And so that's a really special place. That's what I remember the most. Got out of the service, I was having some really incredible dreams in those days. I think it was mostly by dreams that brought me to it, and I just kind of followed my dream, the times of things that were happening, because I got out of the military. I went to work. I had 2 children, and I had to go to work and support them. And those were the days of love-ins and peacetime, peaceniks, and the war was going on, Vietnam War, and I'd gotten out during that time. Lucky I got out. Things were really getting going, and I had just gotten out of the service, and there was a lot of people were trying to open us up. There were a lot of people that were just getting out of the service. You went through a lot of emotional stuff of being 10 years in the military. You have a lot of changes to go on in your life. You have to adjust. There's a lot of adjustments. Things really started happening in 1965. I started seeing all this peace and stuff on the TV and stuff, you know, and in the streets things were changing. People weren't so mad at each other for some reason. Vietnam just made it woke it all up, you know. There was like it was in the days of when people were just opening up and they were telling you, you could tell somebody you loved them. You know, you could see that things were changing. People were starting to letting go of their emotions, and you know, the Beatles, you know, they were a big turn on. Made you feel good, you know. It was just something about it. You couldn't help it. They danced to them, you know. You wanted to kind of dance around like they did. You could. It was like they gave everybody in the world that watched them a contact high. You have to like just kind of follow that, you know, like you follow the good. You try to follow the good, and everything was opening up. It was a sprout, you know. Everything was starting to sprout at that time. This woman kept coming to me in a dream, and this was like 4 years before I even went on the road. I seen myself going to see her 4 years before that. So I was having these dreams about different things, and I was starting to have dreams about beautiful things, but I had a lot of dreams about doom. It was like doomsday stuff. You know, I was having a lot of really high dreams, spiritual dreams, and really, you know, enlightening dreams. But then I was having these other enlightening dreams about destruction, war, and, you know, bad stuff. And my life was changing. I heard about this commune up in Marble Mount, and went up there and hung out with them folks for a little bit, and one weekend, and then I came home, and then Kent State happened. The National Guard shot a bunch of students. I could not believe it, but I was trying to be focused on the positive type stuff that was happening, you know. When Kent State happened, I decided to go back to Marble Mount because there was a commune of people up there that thought like I thought, was like-minded. They were hippies. And I thought, these guys are cool. I think I'll go up and be by them. And I decided, well, after Kent State happened, I was like, this is bullshit. You know, I just gotten out of the military not too few years ago, and I was like, whoa, man, if they're killing their own people, I don't want to be a part of it. I want to. So I went up and started camping out up there, and then some hippies came to my camp, and I was kind of leery about these characters I was with because they were funky. Some of them were really dirty and funky. Some of them were, and I was kind of more of a clean kind of guy, and I really didn't like to hang out with really funky people. I never did. So then they would be but I wasn't camping at the commune. I was camping out of the commune, up into the mountains in the national forest, and they had a commune down on private land down below. And then somebody went into Seattle and put an ad in the newspaper: free land. The land is free. Move to Marble Mount. Well, Marble Mount was only 10 acres. And thousands came. Thousands. They were coming. Busloads of people were coming and showing up in Marble Mount. Busloads and busloads of people. It was amazing. It was pretty cool. And so I just kept moving my camp deeper into the forest, you know. And all these hippies just kept moving in with us. Well, I run into Plunker, a guy named Plunker, and from Montana, like I was. And we met all kinds of characters, and they came and they got and went, and they came and they went. We had the 4 camps, and then we had other camps that went all the way up into Canada. And we were helping folks get out of the country. Didn't want to be drafted. They had to open the draft, and didn't want to go in and fight in Vietnam, so they went into Canada, which was pretty cool that Canada was accepting them, you know. We started doing fairs and stuff like that. We're getting caught up in protests, and And plus having a good time, we're doing this kind of stuff too. We're protesting Vietnam. We ran into this Garrick Beck. Garrick Beck, he was a little guy from New York. His parents were with the Living Theater, Julian Beck, the Living Theater. But he had lots of good ideas about doing festivals and stuff like that. He asked us to help him out. I was doing going to a lot of festivals. Garrick and them, they came down and they invited us to come to Oregon. We went down there and hung out. We talked about doing Vortex. I mean, Vortex was like the beginning of our family, except for we started at Marble Mount and then went to Vortex. Vortex was kind of a preview of our first gathering. Only this was a music festival. Vortex was. It had a lot of meanings to it. Every person's going to say that it was a different meaning to it. Except to me, it was like a preview of what was to come. It wasn't just a dream, it was a vision. It wasn't a dream. It was a vision. And that's more embedded in your DNA and your consciousness and your spiritualism. Many people that's what brought them there, was their vision. When you look deeply in it, it's like the vision is this was something that you could like really feel. And it's still happening. It's still happening. Young people come together and say, I had a dream or a vision, and it comes to you out of nowhere. We were just sitting around the campfire and talking and gathering together, and thousands of people. The world was like the blades of grass. Was like the people. The blades of grass were like, there were so many people, and it was crowded in some ways, but there was so much harmony and so much beauty that it wasn't crowded, no matter how many people were there. I could see the whole world being as a gathering at some point. The vision could come true. The gatherings, to have this alternative village that we want to have, people would start sharing with their neighbors. Do it in a good way and the right way, You know, it's trial and error. We're still trying to learn how to just get along with each other. We don't always get along, you know. It's not a perfect world. Even in a rainbow camp, we have to learn to get along and not let our egos get away from us. And we have to learn to, we're still all learning, each and every individual. And then the Spirit's teaching you things every day anyway, all through life. That vibration goes all over the world. This is a world peace gathering. So we're sending out vibes through all the world, all over the world. Not just in that little area. That's just a place, it's a focal point. It's a vortex. All these rainbow gatherings are vortexes. That's a blessed place. The Spirit has touched the earth there. You think about that, and you put that vibration goes out, and you think about all the good things that happen there, and you feel it. You'll have that same feeling of love. You're going to feel it, and you're going to remember, oh, all these people were there. And you remember that something very vivid that each one and every one of them did. And you're like, you remember it. So you do that for 30 years or more. I mean, you got quite a life of beauty that's happened for you. Something that's, I mean, you got something to live on. You can survive on them. The miracles that we've seen, I feel like we almost are a miracle, because we appear, it's like a rainbow in the sky. They appear here and they appear there, but they're everywhere. And they can be anywhere. We're the family of living light. We all are. We just have to show our light. And by doing that, you can have a better life.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Oh, nothing to kill or die for. No religion to imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine no possessions. Wonder if you can. Oh, no need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world.
You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. life is one.